The subject of tonight's video, possibly another piece of the puzzle in regards to what these buildings are. Deep beneath the Bosnian Pyramid is a mysterious stone, which has become known as K2. This megalith has obviously attracted the team's attention, having done several tests within the area to see what this stone is, and if it is having some form of effect on the surrounding environment. Curiously, what the team have discovered is rather groundbreaking. During certain and initially thought to be random times, they suspect that the stone is doing some kind of terraforming of the atmosphere, with not only extremely high levels of ionization occurring, but somehow an increase in oxygen generated within these lower chambers. We have in a previous video surrounding the new discovery beneath one of the Great Pyramids mentioned the project's convictions regarding the existence of a substantial water system feeding into this underground anomaly. In addition, we mentioned the man-made river along the Bosnian complex and the charging of, or utilization of, this watercourse within their possible past function. However, what the team would discover next may blow the lid off this entire situation, finally revealing that these giant pyramids are indeed somehow integral with the generation of energy, perhaps not generating a reality itself, but somehow attributing to the existing environment. What they realized is that this generation of atmosphere would coincide with minor earthquakes within the area, and with it renowned for regular tremors, sometimes reaching a 6 on the Richter scale. This tectonic activity could somehow be charging or activating whatever is inside the pyramid. With the team at the moment presuming it be caused by K2, could the 8 pillars beneath Khafra, however, in reality be some form of huge tuning forks, using planetary activities to generate energy? Furthermore, another incredible piece of information shared by the investigation, again possibly hinting at the entire structure's makeup, not only within Bosnia but also upon the Giza Plateau. Quote, "Having spent many hundreds of hours in the underground labyrinth beneath Bosnia's Pyramid of the Sun, I have encountered an active earthquake whilst inside the tunnels. While it went on outside, with things falling off shelves and the ground noticeably shaking, I was only made aware of it after I exited the pyramid. Me, along with the entire group, did not notice anything. Not a single stone fell from the ceiling." Sam Osmengic told us, "It is as if whatever these structures are, they are built to absorb this seismic activity, to somehow charge the air with ionized particles, but also inject it full of oxygen. How is at the moment a complete mystery. But could it point to a possible past function for these giant structures? With all of the research Sam has done, the man-made structure proven to be hidden beneath the ancient sediment, which conveniently hides it from view. Even giving tours of the vast underground labyrinths, there has been a noticeable effort to rubbish his discovery. Perhaps it is not the pyramid the powers that be seemingly have issue with, but the information and discoveries he is sharing in regard to these energy-generating phenomena within his research. What do you think is causing this atmospheric anomaly? Is it K2? Or is the entire structure possibly some form of atmospheric terraformer? It would indeed explain the presence of this activity within the structure. We will endeavor to delve into these anomalies further in an effort to unravel this mystery once and for all. So, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming research into these amazing discoveries and indeed the mystery of our history. It is a journey which we find highly compelling. There are many different features which one can use to discover whether or not a ruin is of the tribe in which they have been academically pegged. Size of the stones, the method in which these stones are incorporated in the builds themselves, or even the nature of the methodology in creating these walls. All lost knowledge, all ancient feats beyond the capabilities of any of our known and well-studied ancestors. Yet there are those particular few which are my favorite ancient signatures to seek out, left by these magnificent builders, allowing me to link sites together all over the world. Such ingenious solutions to issues they were inevitably confronted with, whilst constructing their sites with such precision. To suggest that such technologies arose on differing continents at around the same time, purely by coincidence. Civilizations separated by vast oceans, isolated and unable to have shared such knowledge, I feel, a ridiculous stance to take thus. It is one I am always keen to expose, as this is indeed the mainstream stance on such incredible examples of antiquitech. I am talking, of course, of metal clamps, once smelted and cast with varying levels of advanced metallurgies, which have nearly all eroded away, once used to prevent the colossal blocks from drifting whilst they slowly set into the earth, with the surviving examples such as those found in Spain, have revealed their technologically advanced creator. With the site featured in tonight's video of no exception. Found deep within the mountains of France, it remains mostly buried hidden from the world. Yet, in the few areas which are above this ancient sediment, my favorite signature revealed drenching this pre-flood ruin. Claimed as pagan, with some areas even claimed as Roman, this labeling, regardless of the structures all clearly being of the same age, they have decidedly been separated by millennia by mainstream academic studies. Interestingly, there exists a series of wooden tenets or clamps once apparently collected from within the north section of the wall. These tenets, however, are made from wood, all somehow still existing, and all dated to a range of 536 to 675. However, could these be a more modern adaptation? Perhaps they were placed there to help those who came later to claim such ruins as their own. For why would one go to such trouble in creating such a colossal stone structure and then decidedly use wooden braces instead of stone or metal? Of the 115 preserved tenons, academically funded researchers Willie and Bernhard selected 46 specimens for study using drachronology, with the selected tenons having at least 30 rings. With a length of 15 to 37 centimeters and a width of 3 to 6 centimeters. The researchers assert that they were cut on site and on demand to fit perfectly into the carved notches made within the sandstone blocks, with them concluding that they do not bear any traces of sawing, thus were once cut with hatchets and/or axes from pre-existing planks. Of the 46 specimens initially selected, only 22 could be dated. This analysis has conveniently allowed for the wall's possible true age to be dismissed, with the analysis making it possible to specify the date on which the tree from which each tenon came and when it was felled. In fact, it gives them a specific cutoff date to claim its construction. The conclusion of our two researchers is as follows. If they come from the same construction campaign, the tenons studied were developed for a construction site between the year 675 and the year 681. The reason I suspect this to be a cover-up of the wall's true age and why these blocks fitted at later dates. Firstly, the fact that this technique found all over the globe and indicative of a lost civilization's work. Also, the largest notches no longer have clamps. As mentioned, most sites which incorporated this technique so old, the clamps have rotted away or more accurately rusted. Why would a group go to the trouble of cutting and placing millions of blocks forming a wall some 10 kilometers long and not use stone or metal clamps like found at so many other sites worldwide? Why are the biggest examples missing? Were they, when the site reclaimed within the pagan era, still exhibiting this rare metallurgy? Perhaps these clamps looted for this specific reason and simply replaced with wooden pegs out of concern of damaging the relic. The conclusion of the funded researchers give a convenient argument to anyone who knows their ages, as evidence that it created at a time when steel hatchets were present, yet still they opted for wood. With the tenons also coming from sessile oaks, a species abundant and easy to acquire all over the slopes of Mont Saint-Odile. In this ancient place lay an as mentioned ancient wall, mostly still buried beneath layers of sediment, which, although as mentioned is claimed as pagan, if one looks closely enough, is also revealed to actually be an extremely ancient, highly eroded and disturbed polygonal structure. One that used the same method of setting the blocks, the same clamping technology I have now proven and found in Peru, China, Japan, Egypt, Myanmar, and so on, with the wall also, as mentioned, of an astonishing 10 kilometers in length. I have indeed in the past covered other polygonal structures in France, the UK, and many other places across Europe, Thus, the civilization responsible, I have already confirmed, were indeed upon these lands, or at least in contact and sharing knowledge with the natives before the Great Flood. Note the possible origin and inspiration for the little appreciated feat of our more well-known, more recent ancestors, undertaken across ancient England somewhere around the time of the Doomsday Book, when England's lands were being carved up in and around 1086. To separate the land they built what is now known of as Cotswold stone walls, with several sites covered in my other videos, displaying some of the oldest polygonal masonry I have personally been able to identify, all appearing uncannily similar in structure. These once perfectly placed blocks, due to root systems, severe erosion, and other disturbances over the eons, exposing varying stones to the elements to varying degrees, with the water slowly seeping into the seams, pulling them apart, eventually giving them, like the so-called pagan wall, the appearance of roughly shaped stones, somehow once perfectly placed upon one another. Could the highly eroded appearance of these ancient walls, along with their longevity, once the inspiration for the Cotswold stoning method? When I first started this journey, nearly no one was even aware of polygonal structures anywhere other than Peru, let alone Japan or elsewhere. I believe these sites deliberately ignored. Yet, as my work deepens and develops, we will all come to realize this lost legacy far greater than any of us could have possibly imagined. A lost world not just found buried in faraway places, but everywhere, even beneath your feet. It is a journey which I find highly compelling. Add details of the site's names and locations, do the